All right. Well, thank you for being here tonight. We have two classes that just started this week, both real estate principles and real estate practice. Thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. And even though it's not required to be here for a little face-to-face time, my goals for you tonight is to walk out of this 1 hour meeting and to know exactly what to do next if you haven't gotten started on any of the work yet, and how to succeed in this class. I give you very clear expectations on what's required of you, and then moving forward, you can choose how much or how little you want to invest in this. I have no problem for people that are go-getters, that are type A, that need to get an A in this class. I'm going to show you how to do that tonight. If your goal is to just pass with a C because you're working full time, you're going to school full time, and you got kids at home, then that's awesome. Whatever it is that's going to help you get through this and be meaningful for you, I want to support you in that. I had to just whip down some food right now because we just got back and my kids are getting ready for bed myself. So I totally get, especially amongst pandemic time, how crazy and mismanaged our home lives can be. So let me know how I can help you along this route, whether that's questions tonight, after tonight, please feel free to reach out. Email is probably going to be the fastest. If you added this class recently, or if you've asked questions, you probably noticed that, I might email you back at 1 a.m. Because I've noticed that during the day when my kids are home or we're homeschooling, that, I try to give as much attention as I can to them, but obviously I have to get my work done too. And so a lot of that happens at night. And if we need to set up a Zoom time, no problem with that. I will also show you the office hours that I have dedicated for students. So you can pop in, in any of those office hours just to chat as well. And so I want to be available to you. And one of the biggest, for me, the biggest benefits of community college is access to your professors. Because unlike Cal State's, what I experienced in UCs and big four-year universities, where the teachers are required to research and publish, my whole job is about teaching and being a support for you. And that's why one of the reasons why I love teaching at community college. So I'm going to start off a little bit of information on me. If you're new to the real estate program or you haven't met me before, I want to give you a little bit of perspective. This is not about me, making myself feel good, but I want to let you know where I'm coming from. So hopefully that will open up some doors and maybe make you feel more comfortable to chat. Or, again, feel free to answer any questions, ask any questions. I'm open to answering pretty much anything you need. So I outside of high school, I started working at the age of 18, being self-employed. So I've been self-employed in some way or another, sometimes overlapping a paycheck job, but sometimes just being self-employed since I was 18. So for real estate specifically, I never intended to be a real estate agent. My brother-in-law and I, in talking at a family, like a holiday dinner or something, we were talking about investing and in the future and the importance of passive income and all that kind of stuff. And so he said, you know what, you should go get your real estate license. And I said, I don't want to be a real estate agent. And he said, well, you need to learn how to do this and how to find good deals so that we can come back and make money. I was like, oh, okay. He lent me the money to pay for my classes to go get my license because I was just a young kid, young 20s. And sure enough, got my license, started working. So for 9 years, I worked full time. I have only bought and sold a handful of single family homes, mainly for friends or myself. What I specialized in was apartment buildings. And so just like you would use an agent to buy or sell a house, I did that with apartment buildings, working with investors, a lot with lenders. And what I really appreciated about that kind of niche market was that it was kind of more business-like. I had to worry a little bit less about people's emotions and a little bit more on numbers. And not that I love math, but I personally kind of liked the more business perspective of that niche. In those 9 years full time, I never had a client in my car, and I worked one Saturday in those 9 years. So I want to enter that into this perspective of real estate to show you there is a ton of different ways to do this industry. And it is not just single family homes and not just open houses on Saturdays and Sundays. And so I try to sprinkle that in as we go through the class and give you information on other industries, on other niche markets that are related to real estate, still representing other people. And I'll just throw out a couple things here. like buying and selling, right? There's single family homes, there's apartment buildings, there's commercial buildings, there's warehouse, there's retail strip malls, there's dirt parking lots. That's all real estate. And with your real estate salesperson's license, you can represent people for any type of real estate like that. There's buying, there's selling, there's leasing, there's renting, there's property management is a huge area of real estate that people just don't normally think of. And property management usually looks more like a job than it does like what you might think of as a real estate agent might look like. And so I've had students come in and say, hey, I don't want to be self-employed, but I love real estate and I'm interested in making money. Property management can be a great tool because it can be kind of more like a job, more consistent. Think of the Irvine Company, right? Huge company, have a lot of real estate holdings, and that's what they do. They buy, they renovate, they build, they property manage. And so it's a big. There's not enough good property managers out there, to be honest. So I started doing real estate full time, was enjoying it, and I had an opportunity to teach at Orange Coast College in a night class. And although I actually my bachelor's degree is in education, I'd never really taught adults. Jumped in the classroom and ended up loving it. And so I was working 9 to 5 basically during the day doing real estate, and I was teaching 2 nights a week. And then I went into my master's program for 2 nights a week. And all that to say is through all of that craziness, not to mention having a teenage daughter at the time, I loved teaching. I just found that it was fulfilling. I was, coming home at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and I was amped up and excited. And so I decided to shift. And during that time, I also found that the day in and day out part of sales for me was really not enjoyable. I love real estate. I actually enjoy contracts. I like negotiating. I love the teaching aspect of real estate and contracts and all that stuff. But the day in and day out of sales was a challenge for me. It wasn't enjoyable. So I made the commitment to shift into higher education, and am so grateful and blessed to have this opportunity of teaching at Irvine Valley. I head up the real estate department. I'm the only full-timer, so I get to do all the scheduling and the hiring and all that stuff. And this is really where, too, my master's in business came in, because even though I was doing day in and day out business in real estate, I had never taken business classes. And so when I went back to do my master's of business, I really started learning about business. And all of this new stuff that I was learning about real estate and how to do real estate, I started realizing that, hey, that's business. And so I'm a big fan of business classes. You'll see that the certificates in real estate, I have outside of the real estate pieces, I have a lot of optional classes for business as well. Because I feel like if you're going to jump into this industry and work in this industry, you're going to have to know how to run a business, or you're going to fail. To be frank, not to try to scare you off, but real estate is a business. It's a self-employed. You are the sales team. You are the customer service team. You are the finance team, the tech team, all of that. You got to learn how to do it all. And so I think business classes, in addition to learning real estate, is a great asset to have. So yeah, along the way, my master's in business, I got at Cal State Fullerton. I actually ended up going back for 4 years. I worked at a university a 4-year as an administrator. I ran a campus, and overlapping that, I got a doctorate in organizational leadership, which was a great insight into working with people in my perspective. And so any chance you can learn more about, working with people and how they work and how to communicate and institute change is huge. And so all of that I come to the table here. Again, this isn't a big Rick show here, but with all of that, after all of these years, and I own now and I rent now, and I'm actually working on a lease right now. It's in front of me here. So I'm still active in real estate, but I'm not actively working with other people, if that makes sense. And I feel like with all of that business and leadership and hands-on experience in real estate, now, after all of these years, I kind of get it. And so coming in your shoes, coming into this real estate principles class or this practice class, you might be feeling overwhelmed. It can feel overwhelming. You're not alone in that. Especially for these early classes, it's a little bit of jumping through hoops, but primarily you're learning about this foundation of real estate. And not only the foundation in these chapters, you're reading about the pebbles that are in the foundation. And so don't feel like coming into this class or even leaving this class that you have to get it all. It's going to take a lot of time. And really, it's like learning a different language, because there's a lot of law that comes into real estate that you'll be learning about, and concepts that maybe you've never thought of before because you've never been in this role before. Maybe you've purchased something or sold something. Maybe you've rented something in the past. So you'll see little snippets and you're like, oh, now that makes sense. Or, you'll see little windows that'll open where things might make a little sense for you. But don't feel that in 8 weeks that you're going to know everything there is to know about real estate. It just isn't going to happen. The real estate exam, and I'll talk about those of you that might be transfer students or full-time college students here in a sec too, but for those of you that are looking to get licensed, if you didn't figure this out yet or you haven't read on the DRE website yet, you have to take real estate principles, real estate practice. You have to take those two. And then there's a third class that they call an elective. Now, any of the real estate classes at IBC, you can count those as that third elective. You can also count, if you've taken it before or want to take it now, you can also count business law. There's a couple of different accounting classes, maybe even economics can count towards that. And if you look at the IBC certificates that we have in real estate, I've peppered in there a lot of options for you to choose from that will fulfill that salesperson's requirement. So if you wanted to take the time and maybe take a semester to learn about, in those different areas, or maybe you've already taken it. I know there's several of you in here that already have a bachelor's degree. Maybe you took a finance class or a business class or an economics class in the past. That can count as that third elective, just to let you know. After those 3 classes, I highly suggest, whether you take it with me or you take it somewhere else, you take a crash course. They often call them crash courses. At IBC, it's RE 250. We call it license prep. But the idea is that after you learn about all these pebbles in the foundation, this crash course, this license prep class, is really about preparing you for the state exam. It's not giving you answers, but it's giving you techniques about, it's informing you of the exam, giving you techniques on passing the exam, how to take the exam. And then also it's a great refresher course as you're preparing for that state exam to kind of let the pebbles sit in the foundation and really kind of grab onto those highlights that the real estate Department of Real Estate focuses on, which all comes down to theory and law. A little bit higher level than what you'll be learning about in principles, if you will. Because again, principles, we're talking about pebbles, little bits and pieces of this industry. I overlapped a little bit. So there's a little bit of information on me. Oh, side note, the crash course, the license prep class we have at IBC, it's a 1-unit class. I offer it at the end of every semester. So students that are working through those 3 classes during the semester, you can take it at the end of the semester. So, basically, December, early mid-December. And then the next time it'll be offered will be late May, I think, for fall. It's 1 unit. So it's like, what is it, $47 or something? There's a private company in Anaheim. I taught 4 years, taught crash courses. They charge about $350 for their weekend crash course, just to give you some perspective on cost there. So it's a great value at IBC. I have student after student that will let me know after they take that thing that, this is what I needed to get through that test. And so it's all about the whole point of that class, that RE 250, is a matter of getting you to pass the test, preparing you to pass the test. I can't get you to do anything. For those of you students that are in the class, that maybe you're just taking classes at IBC and you're like, hey, I'm interested in real estate. There's a lot of different, and from what I've seen too, if I just explained, if that's you, there's also certificates we have at IBC that are, they call them stackable. So for example, we have real estate sales, which is just the 3 classes, and that's it. And you get a certificate from IBC that shows up on your transcripts. If you're going to be doing it already, why not, right? Then I have a certificate called Real Estate Success, which is those 3 classes plus a peppering of other business classes and or real estate classes that you can choose from. There's then the Real Estate Broker. And I have students, even though you can't take these classes and go get your broker's license right away, you have to have real estate experience to become a broker. I have students that just are really interested in real estate and they just want to take everything they can. And so I've created more of these certificates to kind of give you little rewards along the way. And one day, if you want to become a broker, you get those 2 years full-time experience. you've taken the classes, you can go and sit for that broker exam in the future as well. Those classes do not expire, to my knowledge, by the DRE. And then we do have an actual, AS degree, but from my experience, most students are kind of going for a business or going for some other type of degree, and they're just taking real estate as an option. Those of you that are just in here to learn, maybe you don't want to get licensed, you don't want to start a new business, you don't want to transfer and go on to, a four-year university, you just want to learn about stuff, that's great too. And so my goal is to meet all of your needs. And what I've learned too, there's great diversity in these real estate classes. I see a hand raised and I see a chat question. I'll get to you guys in just a sec. There's a great diversity. Not just in gender, but in age and in national origin, in experience. I mean, there's so much diversity that happens in these real estate classes. It just leads to great discussions. I'll have students that say, hey, Rick, I loved the discussion boards, which as a student, I didn't always love the discussion boards because it's kind of forcing you to interact, right? But I try to formulate the discussion questions so that there's no yes or no answer. There's no right or wrong. It comes down to your opinion and learning enough about the topic so that you can form your own opinion. And then also explaining your why. Like, I believe this because, and then you get to express yourself. And it's in that learning and expressing yourself and creating your own opinion where I feel like real discussions take place. And so it's not supposed to be busy work. That's not the goal. The goal is to really kind of get you involved into this content, not just about reading a concept. So hopefully you'll find some good purpose in those discussion boards. So there's a question from Lan, the crash course for principles of practice. The crash course RE250 is to prepare you for the DRE state exam. So you'll take RE principles, you'll pass that final exam, you'll take RE practice, you'll pass that final exam, you'll take an elective if you haven't done so already, pass that test, whatever that class requirement is. Then you have to file for your DRE salesperson exam. To do that, you have to show that you completed the classes, you got to pay a fee, and then you got to wait at least 6 to 8 weeks for a test date. It's during that 6 to 8 weeks that I suggest you take a crash course if you can line it up. Or use that time, basically, take the crash course at the end of the semester, but use that 6 to 8 weeks to study in preparation for the state exam. Hopefully that clarifies that a little bit. And then, is it Abdullah? Is that your hand raised, or is that a symbol on your name? I can't tell. No. Are you good? I think we're good. I think that hand actually might have been my mouse. So sorry about that. It was like a little white hand on there. So hopefully that cleared it with the crash courses. I'm going to move on here on with my two goals for you tonight, what you need to do next and what you need to do in this class to succeed. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and share screen. If you've been in Canvas already, I'm sorry for the repetition here, but I know for a lot of you students, I had an email today from a student. I completed my bachelor's degree in the mid-90s. Back then, it was only face-to-face classes, right? There wasn't internet. I remember those days. And so all of this is new, right? So here's my goal for you and what you need to do next and understanding that. I want to show you what that looks like to hopefully make it super clear for you and easy. I want, not that the class is easy, but I want your work and your understanding to be easy, if that makes sense. So let me pull up Canvas first. Canvas is our IVC interaction for this class. So we'll start there and I'll poke around with you for a sec. There we go. So here is Canvas. When you first come into the page, it might look like this. Oh, you know what? Let me do student view, and that way it'll be a little bit less confusing. Perfect. So this is what our home looks like in Canvas. You'll see the recent announcements here. I'm glad some of you got them. One of the first things I say in that first week announcement, if you haven't seen it yet, is that Canvas, one of the great things about Canvas is that you get to control how you get the information. So for example, you can go into your account, click on settings or notifications, excuse me. When you click on notifications, you get to pick if you're getting an email or a text message or how often. If you're getting it at the end of the day, when it happens at the end of the week, it's up to you. So please go in there if you can and fine tune those notifications as best you can. It looks like I might be delayed right now. I hope it's not affecting your hearing of my voice. Can you guys hear me okay? Maybe.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Yes, we could hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. I wasn't seeing any nods or anything, and so I think I'm getting a lag here, so I apologize. So first off, announcements, you've seen some of those already. If you want to revisit them, they're available here. On this homepage, there's a great link. I realized after I sent out one of my email messages that some of the links were off. For some reason, they weren't, even though the words looked right, the link itself was taking you to the wrong place. So I want to click on this right now with you just to show you what this looks like and make sure you're going to the right place. I do not require a hard copy book in this class. I do require this digital access. One of the reasons I require this, I've found that the costs with the digital platform is actually less expensive than a hard copy book. In addition, the digital format allows you to kind of read the content interactively. Like you'll read through a page and then answer some questions. Read through a page, answer some questions. Then you'll come to the chapter quiz or unit quiz. Those two terms are interchangeable. That quiz that you're taking on this website, you're getting points for that. And this is all the state-approved, DRE state-approved content. The final exam is also taken in the system. So that's why it's imperative to have this digital access. If you need help with that, or if there might be vouchers available through IVC to purchase through the bookstore, you can also purchase access codes through the bookstore. Although if you're buying from the bookstore, it is a little bit more expensive because they have to mark it up for their own profit margin there. So if you're going in just buying it directly here, you down to the bottom right, you'll see purchase. When you click on purchase, you're going to look up the institution, Irvine Valley College. And then it'll give you options. So you're either taking real estate principles or real estate practice. And then you'll see, this one's a little bit easier. Make sure you're looking at the dates. So whether you're taking principles or you're taking practice right now, check the dates. And this is the right one, right? 8/23 to October, boom. On principles, I am teaching both classes, the first and the second session. And so you'll see the date ranges being different. So make sure you're selecting the proper date there. And that's it. So once you go through that purchase process, you can log back into this from your computer, from your tablet, from your work computer, although I know none of you are doing that, from your phone, whatever device you're using, you can access this content and read through a page and answer some questions. And so what I love about this digital format too, I understand most of you or some of you might like to hold that hard copy book in your hand. Some of you might think that you're going to buy that hard copy book and you're going to save it for the rest of your life. That shouldn't be your top priority, because after you learn these foundations, you're then going to move on and learn about bigger and more things. Okay. The digital access here gives you a lot of flexibility on multiple devices. And I love that because I have students that will take this entire course on their phone. And depending on what generation you're in, that might sound crazy, but you can do that either in Canvas and in this Great River system. You can use both of those systems on your phone. I want to invite you, this Great River learning system, even though the Deerbook textbooks, hard copy textbooks, have been around for a while and the editions are up to date, this Great River learning digital interaction with that content is new. So I want to invite you as my class, whether you're taking principles or practice, please let me know if you find typos, if you find a question that just doesn't make sense or the answer is wrong and you know it's wrong, or you're having technical issues, please contact the Great River Tech Support. It's 24/7. They do email, so you can't call them right away. But if you email them, I've had students that email them at 11 o'clock at night, and before midnight, they get a response. And so it's actually super timely on the tech support side. But if you're having any issues with the content or how the words look or the interaction, please do let me know, because I'm tied into their tech people and I want to get that stuff ironed out as soon as possible. So you're all going to help me, and don't feel like you're bugging me either. Because I'll have a student like, oh, I don't want to bug you, but there was this thing that was wrong in chapter 2. I want to know. Please let me know, because I want this to be a good experience for you all. So new system, but what's great about it is that I tested this out in summer for the very first time. So you're the second group to use this. But I had more students in the summer finish the class than I have previously in previous 5 years. There's always, a handful of students that just don't get it done, that just can't finish. But this summer, testing the system, and I do correlate some of it with the system, I had more students completing the class. So I'm hopeful that it's useful and functional and easy for you to use. So coming back to Canvas, this is our GRL Dearborn. You see it? So Dearborn, it's the Dearborn books. They're the people that actually publish the hard copy books, but GRL is this online interactive format. There's not much available out there in this realm like that. So I had to actually collaborate with these two companies to get this to happen. Our syllabus is here, the hard copy syllabus, and we'll take a peek at that just for a minute in a little bit here. And here are my office hours I mentioned. So, I have to update this slightly. So these times are slightly off as of right now. I had to change them today, but they're generally the same. Come back here, check the times. Feel free to pop in anytime during the office hours. Or if I miss you, or it's midnight and you're like, oh, I have to ask Rick this question, please send me an email. And you can do that here in Canvas, or you've got an email from me already. You can just reply to a previous email as well. The next thing, remember one of my first goal here, what you need to do next. So here's one: get into GRL, get access to that digital virtual book. The next step, when you're in here in Canvas, click on modules. I've been teaching online for a really, really long time. 2008, 9, something like that. So 12 years I've been teaching online in some ways. I try to make this as easy for you to understand as possible. I'm not saying the class is going to be easy, right? It's going to be what you put into it. But I want it structured, and access I want as easy as possible for you. There's some videos, some explanations. Here's explanation of the DRE requirements. Oh, that's an old abbreviation. CalBRE, I gotta fix that. Not perfect. IVC Tech Services if you need it. Tips for success. Here's some welcome stuff that I've done in the past. After tonight, I'm gonna upload tonight's video so that you can see it here. And here's an in-depth syllabus review going basically page by page on the syllabus. I'm not gonna do that tonight. But I want you to know that it's here available to you if you want to go through page by page on the syllabus. I'll give you some highlights tonight to make for sure. Again, to make sure that you know what to do next and how to succeed. Jumping right into your week 1 work. We're in it, right? This is week 1. This is an 8-week class. So this turns into almost like a part-time job for you, especially week 1 into week 2. You're going to feel a little bit overwhelmed. That's okay. Here's what you're responsible to do this week. Go through chapter 1, chapter 2. So let me highlight here. This is a virtual lecture. This is me on screen talking. I apologize now if I think almost every video I'm yawning in here, because I'll end up recording these at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night when students are here in class, or here face-to-face and Zoom and that kind of thing. But I go through, I make notes on screen. And so I'm talking about it in a real life perspective. I'm taking notes. I am not regurgitating the chapter. So you'll see here, chapter 1 and 2 quizzes. This is in GRL. This link here in Canvas is just a placeholder. I'm really talking about the real life part of real estate with the chapter content in these virtual lectures. So these are available both in principles and in practice. The classes look almost identical here, right? Different content, but they look very similar. Again, I've been doing this for years, so I try to make this as easy as possible for everybody. The other thing here, right here in this module, you'll see the discussion board, DB, the discussion board 1. Here is that interactive thing. Week 1, really easy. You're going in there, you're talking about yourself. Just as an introduction, why you're here. I'll click on it here so you can see it. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. Take a moment, you can create a video if you want, maybe write a paragraph or 2 talking about yourself, and here's some prompts. Why are you taking real estate? What experience do you have, if any? What do you hope to do after the license or after the class? I want to point out to you these points, and I'll come back to how these points work. But here's the rubric. The initial discussion board, 3 to 4 sentences, 5 points, right? So if your goal in this class is to get an A, here's your 5 points for your discussion post. And then here's 5 more points for your responses. So we're talking about basically having a conversation with your classmates, just like you might do if we're sitting in a classroom and we're on a break or before class or after class. Oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, I hadn't heard of that before. I have some experience, right? We're just having a conversation here. And, but I have to give some sort of quantity to give you some guidance on this, right? So that's where this rubric and then where these points come in. By the way, if you get a 9 out of 10, that's an A, right? So don't feel like, oh, I lost a point, it's the end of the world. If you're getting an A, that's great. You may not be perfect every time, but I'll tell you this, if you're meeting the requirements of this rubric, this is up to you. This is work that you put in, and these are the points that you can earn. So that's, again, that's on you. I'll talk about the bigger point situation in just a moment. This is the discussion board. What I have you do in these discussions every week, except for the last week, I have you post your initial post by Thursday night. And then I give you Friday, Saturday till Sunday night to respond to 2 people. Again, it's forced interaction a little bit, but the purpose is to really kind of get you involved in this content, not just reading the words in a chapter, if that makes sense. So that's the discussion boards, at least week 1, the discussion board 1 here, introducing yourself. Going back to that modules tab, you'll see again, and you can refer back to this modules tab. If ever you feel like, what do I have to do in that class? Or maybe you're taking both principles and practice at the same time, come back to this modules tab and you're going to see exactly what you have to get done that week. Get into GRL, right? Get access to that digital book, discussion board we just looked at. And then when you get into GRL and start working on the chapters, in GRL, they're referred to as units, but chapters, units. You're getting in there, doing the reading and getting the quiz done. These quizzes, you can do them as many times as you want, and the highest score will save. Okay, so this is another area where you want to get that A. You can retake those quizzes as many times as you want to get the highest points. So both the discussion boards and the quizzes, you're seeing now that this is effort on your part, right? But you have total control over it. This isn't a matter of, Rick isn't nice or Rick doesn't like me. This is really a matter, just like business. If you put in the work, it can pay off, right? That's how you're earning points, both in the discussion boards and the chapter quizzes. I'm going to fast forward, not to make it too overwhelming here, but you'll see we're still in the modules tab. Here's week 2 as a preview, right? Here's some lecture videos. Oh, thank you so much for that note in the chat. The virtual lectures, you enjoy those. Thank you so much. My whole goal in that is to be helpful for you. So I'm glad they're helpful. Here again, you see discussion board, GRL chapters 3 and 4. So again, we're moving pretty quick through these chapters. Here's the virtual lectures for those chapters to give you the real life perspective of book, kind of flat on the page information mixed with some real world. Week 3, again, I'm just doing a brief overview for you right now. You'll see in week 3, we have something new pop up called an exercise. Again, it shouldn't be hard. They're not meant to be hard. It will take you some time to do these, but again, putting some of the content, some of the ideas, some of the theory into real life perspective. So that's in week 3. All right, so you have 2 more weeks before you have to worry about this, but I wanted to throw it out there just so you kind of got a picture of how the week by week plays out in the classes. So let me go back to the home. And so everything you need, you'll see here in the modules tab, week by week. I'm hoping that you'll leave from this class and you're going, oh, at least I can go to one place and find everything. That's the modules tab. Okay, so don't leave here feeling scared or confused. Go to the modules tab. That's the easiest route to hit everything you need to do. This is, a PDF hard copy, if you will, syllabus. It's 6 pages. It's not crazy, but if you are kind of a calendar, if you are calendar minded and schedule oriented, you'll see here on the homepage in Canvas the course summary. This may be overwhelming to people, right? So you don't have to look at this if you don't want to, but this gives you straight dates and assignments, what needs to get done. But it's the whole class in one view, right? So it can feel overwhelming. There it is. So let's look at the syllabus. And I just want to highlight a couple different things on the syllabus. I'm going to go ahead and download and open up the actual file here. And then I'll need to change screens. How are you feeling? Everybody take a breath. Here we go. All right, so here's our syllabus. I'm going to start from the back page and just review 2 or 3 pages. And we've got 20 minutes left. So I want to make sure we've been able to get questions answered as we go along. But I want to make sure I give time for discussion at the end of this too, because I feel like some of you, no doubt, are kind of holding on to some questions. I'm sorry if this is making you dizzy. I want to go to the last page here, because it also, in addition to Canvas and seeing every assignment and every date that's for this class show up in Canvas, I also have this view in the syllabus. So if this is helpful for you, for me as a student back in the day, I would create something like this for myself so that I could clearly see what's required of me through the class. Not that I'm so like crazy and like I got to get an A, but this for me kind of gave me some solid perspective of what I had to get done. So this, you see the dates for the weeks, the week number, right? This correlates to the Canvas module, week 1, week 2, week 3. And then over here, you'll see the assignments. Chapter 1, read it. Chapter 1 quiz, chapter 2 read it, chapter 2 quiz, the discussion board. So if this helps you, this puts all the assignments and dates in this format as well. So whatever you might think is like your learning style, or however you're gonna, take in this information, hopefully this can help you out in these different ways to get it. This is the other piece I really wanted to point out in the syllabus, because I feel like coming in, maybe feeling overwhelmed, feeling like this is, you haven't been in school for a while. This is, you're jumping in. Maybe English isn't your first language. I get quite a few English as a second language, English learners in my classes. Maybe you're interested in real estate. Maybe you're just interested in the concept, the idea, or you want to get a job. These points give you a clear perspective on how to succeed in this class, right? So you know what you need to do next. Get into GRL, get into Canvas, check the modules tab. Number 2, how to succeed in this class. I've showed you a little bit about the discussion board and the rubric, and I showed you a little bit of or told you about the quizzes, right? You can take them over and over again to get the highest possible points. So hopefully I'm setting the tone here for you. The time that you commit, the purpose that you commit to this class is what will equate to your grade. It's not about me being nice. I'm not giving you any points. It's very easy for me to students say, oh, I really need an A. Can you just give me, 10 more points? My answer is no, because that's not how business works, right? You got to put in the time and the effort to get it done. And here's how you do it. The chapter quizzes, there's 15 chapters. You can take those chapters over and over again to get 10 points in each chapter, which is 33% of your grade. So I'm rewarding you for this week in and week out work that you're kind of pushing through to do well on. That's a chunk of your grade, right? 33%. The discussion boards that you're doing, again, they're every week except for the last week. Those are 10 points each. You know exactly how to get those points. I just showed you the rubric, and you can see that rubric in Canvas when you're in that discussion. So you put in the time, you put in the effort, you can earn those 10 points every time. That's another 15% of your grade. The exercises, for me, the exercises are matching theory and content with real life and purpose and putting those together. Again, they're not meant to be hard, but they will take some time. Call it a project, whatever you want to call it. I call them exercises. Those are 20 points each. But again, if you're answering the questions that I give you, then you can get these points. So right there on stuff that you can put in time and control, right here, you're already talking about 60, whatever that is, 66% of your grade. Then you've got the final exam. Now, some of you might think, I say the word exam and you start sweating, maybe. I get that. I get exam anxiety and all that stuff. Exams can be hard. Multiple choice exams, I hate them. But guess what? The State Department of Real Estate, the DRE salesperson exam is a multiple choice test on a computer screen. So I'm slowly taking this content and this theory and this law, and I'm also giving you practice on how to get through these exams, even if you hate them and even if they make you nervous, okay? So if you do your work week in and week out, week in and week out, and you work hard to earn all these points, you can still get a 60 on that final exam and still do pretty well in the class, right? That only leaves you can still get a B if I did that math right. So even if you get a D on the final and you bust your butt everywhere else, you can still do well in the class. So if you're completely freaked out by exams, I hope this alleviates some of that stress for you. The final exams are really a recap of all the chapter work. Again, these are state approved content. So this is all in tiny preparation, getting you ready for that salesperson's exam. I even do one better for you. On this final exam, if you take it the first time and you get an F, right? You get a 57%. I actually allow you to take it again, but I want you to get a 60. And I explain that in here. I explain this in here. Final exam, 60% to pass, okay? So I want you to get that 60% so that you can get credit. If you don't get 60% on the final, this might sound harsh, but I'm not going to pass you. The reason is I give you a lot of control in these points, and the goal of this class is this, I have state approval, right, to teach you this information for you to learn it. And if you can't get a 60 on that final, then I can't give you credit for the real estate class for the DRE, in essence, is what that comes down to. So all of that is a little bit of a, holding a standard. Also, it's making sure that when you're leaving the class, you have a certain level of knowledge. And if you don't pass it, I'm giving you another chance. So I'm really doing everything I can to support you and help you learn and give you opportunity, not just with the content, but with the points. And again, if your goal is to do well, hopefully this is a clear picture of how to succeed in this class for you. This page of the syllabus, it goes into some language description. Hopefully I cleared it. And again, I'm more than willing to answer any questions for you. It gives you some insight onto the quizzes. Again, I'm asking you for a minimum of 80 on those, on the quizzes, but you can take them over and over again. The exercises, again, some brief description on that. Discussion boards. So if you leave tonight and your brain is just freaking out, you've got to go into Canvas and you got to go into GRL. Go to that modules tab in Canvas. You can also come back and review the syllabus to get the information on paper, on screen, to review as well. I think I've answered all the chat questions. Let me review real quick. Oh, great. So I have another person that was checking out the lectures that found them helpful. I'm glad to hear that. And there was a question that came up. I will post this video from tonight. It takes a little bit of time. It has to generate the closed captioning. I have to post closed captioning with any video. So it takes a little bit of time, but hopefully by tomorrow, I will have this video up so that you can come back and revisit it as well if you want. And then you can fast forward. You're like, oh, he's talking too much. Click through it. The lectures, I try not to be wordy. I promise you, I really try to bring purpose. And for me too, because I've been in your seat. I didn't say this earlier, but in my real estate principles class, I took it at OCC. I got a D. Thankfully, even though a D is not passing at the community college, the Department of Real Estate accepts a D. And that's also why I suggest that you don't do a pass, no pass in this class, because I've never seen it help somebody. I've only seen it hurt people. I think the letter grade is more helpful because, well, for that reason. And I'll tell you, I know why I got a D, because day one, the teacher told me, Rick, you'll never succeed if you try to sell apartment buildings. You have to sell single family homes or you won't make it. And I was like, well, I don't want to sell single family homes. I want to do what I want to do. And so outside of this class and content, I will be your biggest, cheerleader. Find the niche that you enjoy. So if you're set on real estate and you want to open your own business in real estate, find the niche that you enjoy. Because even if you become successful and in 10 years you're making $1 million a year and every day you hate going into work, it's not going to be worth it, right? You're going to be miserable. If you can find a niche that you enjoy, and there's so many opportunities in real estate, my hope for you, like I found with teaching, that you, at the end of the day, you walk away feeling energized and fulfilled and feel like you're doing something. I mentioned already a couple of those different avenues. I think I even forgot escrow and title and finance. I mean, there's so many industries that are tied into real estate that you can find purpose in this content and getting a license and then doing something random and different. My sister-in-law has now made her living for almost 10 years, taking big commercial like shopping center spaces, like an old Macy's, for an example, chopping it up and opening it up as food halls and retail. And she property manages and does event space, not event planning, but like management, like booking. I call it property management, but it's not a typical property management. And she's made her living doing that for 10 years. Completely not what you would think about as real estate, right? But there's so many different ways to do this industry. So I want to encourage you in that. If you have a crazy idea, you want to invest yourself and buy real estate, flip, construction, I've done all that stuff. So I'm glad to give you some insights, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to figure out how to do your business, right? I want to encourage you on that. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And then I'm going to open this up for questions since we are, since we got about 9 minutes left. Again, I want to respect your time. There's one more question that popped up. I'll be done with my class in December. You get 3 classes in December. Do I need to wait until I'm done with the classes in order to apply for the state exam? Yes, you do have to wait till you're done. You cannot apply earlier. And so you have to get the 3 classes done. I am working with this new GRL system to be able to issue a completion certificate. I'm hoping they can work it out because the old system did it. So that you can turn that into the DRE. I'll be straight with you. That certificate, that completion certificate of the class actually helps me. It helps the college more than it helps you. It's likely that you will also have to turn in your college transcripts to the DRE to show them that you did in fact complete those 3 classes. So your 3 classes, your fee, and your exam, your application, your paper application has to be sent off to the DRE. Once you send that off and everything's in there, it's 6 to 8 weeks. The DRE has done some great stuff, adding information on their website. They've been pretty good at staying with the times, except for the application process is still paper. But they have a lot of information on their website, and they are truly nice people. Every time I've spoken to somebody in the head that runs the call center and the licensing department, super nice, super helpful, but you will have to wait on hold for a while to talk to them. There's like 10 or 11 people that answer the phone, and they get like, over 1,000 calls a day. So when you get to somebody, chances are they're going to be super helpful and nice, but you're going to have to wait. So it is better than the DMV, at least. If you don't mind being recorded, go ahead and you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. If you don't want to be recorded asking a question, we'll do this for a couple minutes here, and then I'll go ahead and stop recording, and then I'll open it up again just in case you're nervous about being on camera. Question in the box for the elective. It can't be anything. The DRE has very specific requirements on the electives. However, at IVC, I have gone to the trouble of getting specific classes already approved for you as electives. So, for example, so it doesn't have to be a real estate class, but any real estate class at IVC will be accepted by the DRE. Also, if you look at the certificate requirements for the salesperson, so the IVC, they call it a certificate of achievement, says real estate principles, real estate practice, and then it gives you like 12 or 14 class options for that elective. Any of those that I put in that certificate are accepted by the DRE. Some blanket ones that they usually will take are micro or macroeconomics, accounting 1 or 2, which is like either managerial and I forget what the accounting is, business law. I think some finance classes they might take as well. So there's a couple options of like, and if you don't know and you're like, oh, I took this one class in college, you can it actually might be more efficient for you to email the DRE, but you can also try to call them if you want. Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. Glad to help. Anybody else want to ask a question out loud instead of typing? It's usually crickets for like a minute.
I wanted to ask when the best time would be to register for the crash course. This is my last class.
Awesome. So yeah, the crash course, you can register whenever you want. There's still seats available, but it won't start until like the second week of December, I think. Right. So just know moving ahead, make sure you're watching your email as you get closer to that start date. I'll send out some communications for that.
Okay.
But you can register today if you know you want to get in there.
Okay, like but it won't start until December. Okay.
Yeah. But that being said, when you finish this class, your third class, and you get your transcripts from IVC, you send off your application to the DRE, you'll have a window there. And so it's actually placed pretty nicely where you can get in there, start studying, and touch base with me after you're done with the classes, because I can actually give you the resource to start studying the questions ahead of time.
Okay, great.
And in that way, when we actually get to the class, you will already be in kind of study mode.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Andre, thank you for that in the chat. I'm glad this has been straightforward for you. That's music to my ears. So happy. Anybody else? I understand that we're in crazy times, especially now. All of the real estate classes have been all online, actually, pre-pandemic even, because that's where student demand has taken them. But I feel, yeah, if there's things going on, you saw in the syllabus, like I don't want to take late work. Primarily, the biggest point of that for me is the discussion boards, because when the whole class is in there discussing things, the week later, the whole class is in a different discussion, right? So trying to do a discussion a week after the fact, it's kind of like you're talking to yourself in a room by yourself, right? But I get it. I know it's kind of crazy and things are up in the air right now for a lot of people. I'm sitting here in my RV. I'm grateful to have it because I don't have an extra bedroom in the house, for an office or anything. So the kids are in there doing what they're doing or going to bed. I get to hide out here and do Zooms. Any other questions? So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording just in case anybody's being shy. Thank you again for being here tonight, by the way, for taking the time. We still have a couple minutes and look forward to the semester with you.